Digital world, welcome to Spliced In Later for our standard movie review. The movie reviews where I go to the movies, I enjoy myself, and then I tell you to also go and do the same thing. A lot of movie reviews have been coming at you the last couple months, now that I have officially established myself as a podcast man. Basically, I'm doing what I've always been doing, but now I get to go home and immediately talk about the movies that I've seen, and hope that there are some people out there that are listening and deciding, yeah, let's go check out that movie because we heard it on Spliced In Later. If not, that's okay. Thanks for listening anyway. I always appreciate your ears. That was a weird thing to say, but we're going to move forward because, as promised, I went to the movies and I'm going to bring you my take on the new DC film, Birds of Prey. Now, I'm honestly surprised I haven't spoken about superhero movies on this show before. I mean, let's be fair, I have. You've listened to my top 10s. You've heard me gush about the Avengers, Spider-Man, Black Panther, all of that. Since establishing this, a superhero movie hasn't actually come out. Well, bring on 2020. I think there's about 8 superhero films coming out this year. If I rattle them off in my head, we've got Birds of Prey, Wonder Woman 1984, Venom 2, Morbius, Black Widow, The New Mutants, The Eternals, probably another one I can't think of at this point in time. There's always something that escapes me. But that's a lot of movies, isn't it? That's a lot of superhero films. One might worry that the genre is getting stale. Not this guy, that's for sure. This guy loves his superhero movies. Doesn't matter what reception they've gotten in the past. Doesn't matter what brand they're from. I'm there. I will say I prefer Marvel films over DC films. That's not me being a biased Marvel fanboy. I just think that in general movie experiences, I've had better times at Marvel movies over DC films. And I think the underlying point for this is that Marvel movies are always fun and well balanced. They're exciting, they've got action, they've got humor, they've got serious issues, and they know how to juggle all that together. DC films in the past, especially when they tried to launch their own united universe, has certainly been very dark and very grim. I don't mind that approach. I think it works if you know what you're doing. With a character like Superman, he's very bright in colors, and I think bringing him down to this serious, devastating, sad Jesus Messiah thing that we got in those early Man of Steel, Batman v Superman movies, that certainly wasn't in the right direction. And then setting your whole universe around that grimness, for me personally, wasn't very appealing. But I have enjoyed that in recent years, DC has taken a turn. They're doing things a bit different from Marvel. They're trying to do their own thing, which I can appreciate, whether it's going out on a limb and doing something unique like Joker, or bringing some fun, comedy, vibrant colors into their films, like Aquaman and Shazam, and to an extent Wonder Woman have shown in a few years. So Birds of Prey was an interesting thing for me looking forward to this film. I did go and see Suicide Squad when it came out in 2016, and as we all know, Harley Quinn, who stars in Birds of Prey, played by Margot Robbie, was in Suicide Squad. The trials and tribulations of Suicide Squad are obviously well known, but in case you're unfamiliar, it made a ton of money at the box office, but was critically panned for being completely all over the place. Strange tone, odd characters, weird camera work, strange cuts, and let's not even touch Jared Leto's weird Joker thing he had going on both on and behind the screen. So obviously, as we're beginning a film now which takes Harley Quinn from that film and sort of takes her into a starring approach, you have to wonder, how are they going to handle it? Is it going to be the same sort of tone as Suicide Squad? Are they going to do their own thing? The nefarious Suicide Squad issue, obviously, is that Batman v Superman, Man of Steel weren't doing particularly well. The grimness wasn't taking off with fans. At the same time, you had Guardians of the Galaxy, which really flew off in terms of popularity because of its style, its music, its kooky characters. So they tried to make Suicide Squad essentially Guardians of the Galaxy. The issue with Suicide Squad is that these are villains. These aren't heroes. The appeal of Suicide Squad is these villains being forced to do missions by the government. We're not really going to Suicide Squad to see a redemptive arc for a killer crocodile, a man who slings boomerangs at enemies, a killer assassin, murderous vampire demon. Not really. It's not really going to work. And you can go back, if you ever want to, and watch the 3 trailers for Suicide Squad. They're essentially advertising 3 different films. Case in point, Suicide Squad, mess of a film. still went and saw it at the movies, still own it on DVD, because that's just the kind of person that I am. So the countdown for Birds of Prey, watching the trailers for that was also interesting. They seemed very kooky. Obviously, the main character was going to be Harley Quinn. There wasn't much information on the actual Birds of Prey, how they were going to be involved. There wasn't that much information on the villains. Great in terms of story secrets, but the tone seemed a bit off. I wasn't sure, so I was apprehensive very much going into this film. The last couple of days there'd been some positive things that I'd heard about it. So what does Spliced In Later think about Birds of Prey? Well, let me tell you. It's a good film. I enjoyed it. I think they did very well in terms of, one, making Birds of Prey a, depending on what country you're in, R-rated or mature audiences rated film. They took advantage of that humor that works very well in a film like Deadpool, juxtaposed with the over-the-top violence and swearing. Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn, she owns the role, essentially. I don't know if I could pick anyone else to play Harley Quinn at the moment. The two are one and the same. She is the star of this film, and I'm glad that she is, because she's very entertaining to watch. The essence of Birds of Prey is, and it's hard for me to, once again, telling you a plot of a movie without spoiling it. Harley Quinn has broken up with the Joker. Thank God. No more Jared Leto, please. Trying to deal with that, comes across a young girl who's involved with a diamond that she's pickpocketed off the wrong person, a very bad villain called Black Mask. Through a series of events involving this girl and the diamond, she comes across other female people, whether they are vigilantes, police officers, nightclub singers, and eventually they come together as a team to protect this girl and save the day. Not really save the day, but save themselves, I guess. That's what's kind of good about this movie too. There's no worldwide stakes. With a movie like Suicide Squad, where it was turned into the Suicide Squad had to save the world from imploding. What's going on in Birds of Prey is very simple, street level. The rest of the world doesn't know what's going on. The rest of the world doesn't care what's going on, which I really appreciated. I want to say right off the bat that this movie has a very interesting tone. It relies on Harley Quinn's unreliable narrator. So 1 minute you're telling a story, then you've gone back 4 minutes, then you've gone forward 1 year, then back 2 months. It's an interesting take to do with this movie. I think it is a good idea in terms of Harley Quinn and her mental state. I will get into a bit later though why I do think that kind of hurt my enjoyment of the film just a little bit. But apart from the unreliable narrator, the cinematography in this film and the shots and the directing is outstanding. Love it. 10 out of 10. The colors are very vibrant in this film in a way that actually works, unlike the irony of Suicide Squad. The city Gotham looks great in pink, green, blue, red. The characters and what they're wearing, whether it's Harley Quinn, Black Mask, Huntress, Black Canary, they all look sensational. The way the camera pans around action scenes and shots, things that are in the distance that work to emphasize what is going on in the foreground, it's all really good. You sit there and you take it in and you do feel like your breath is taken away just a little bit, because it's not like anything you've seen in another DC film before. All the grim, bland, sob-inducing bleakness of the previous films is gone, which is great. It's definitely, aside from Shazam, it's definitely probably one of the more funnier DC films you'll come across. Not all the humor lands, some of it does seem a bit forced, but overall it all depends on the characters. And as I said with Harley Quinn, she's great, Margot Robbie, great stuff. I want to give special mention to Ewan McGregor as our villain, Black Mask. Ewan McGregor is having an absolute ball in the role. He's chewing up the scenery as this really kooky mobster. He's very calm, but then he loses control and he's psychotic. He has some weird character traits which work because he sets it up like it's believable that he would do the things that he does. He's got a certain swagger to himself that makes him funny in certain scenes, but then in other scenes, suddenly you remember that this is a villain, this is a mobster, and he does things that is very disturbing and unsettling to watch. So as much as you're enjoying Ewan McGregor and you like seeing him and you want to see more of him in the movie, you are also reminded this guy is the absolute worst and something needs to be done about him. Aside from Harley Quinn, my other favorite character was Huntress, played by Mary Elizabeth Winstead. Not nearly as much in the film as I would have liked her to be. I think she's sorely underused, but she is absolutely interesting in her backstory and her role in the film. She has great comedic timing and great action scenes. She kicks ass when she needs to, and she does not let up. She's got some great comedy one-liners. Mary Elizabeth Winstead is just great inhabiting her awkwardness with the other characters as well. Brilliant, top-notch, well done. Speaking of which, of that action, I know I sort of mentioned it with the cinematography, the action is probably one of the best I've ever seen, not just for the DC films, but perhaps action films in general. Obviously, with these superhero movies, you have those final fight scenes at the end. When the ladies are kicking ass, it looks great. We've got some great tracking shots. Watching these girls slam bad guys over the head with hammers, baseball bats, crossbows. It just looks great. And it works really well with the musical score. That's another issue that came up with Suicide Squad. Obviously, again, we've got Guardians of the Galaxy. And it works really well with the music that it used for the story. Basically, Peter Quill had his Walkman, all songs from the 80s. The songs played with what was going on in the movie perfectly. Evoked all the right emotions. Fantastic, well done. So Suicide Squad obviously tried to do the same thing, but their response was just to put a whole bunch of songs in the movie. Didn't really matter what was going on in the movie. They just said, look, we also play songs in our movie. Aren't we great? No, unfortunately you're not. However, with Birds of Prey, the songs used in this movie are absolutely important to what is going on in the screen. Not only are they powerful and help to elevate scenes and work in both comedy and drama, there's also some really cool covers in this movie too. I desperately tried to find the soundtrack on the drive home from the film. Can't find it anywhere, but I hope in the next couple of days it will be available as more and more people see the film. There is a cover in this movie of Hit Me With Your Best Shot, which, is a spunky, fun song. In this movie, it's played up for really serious, dramatic effect. The music is pumping. All the characters are moving into their final positions before the big end climax of the film. And it is great. It's goosebump-inducing. It's bone-chilling. Great stuff. Well done to the music. Whoever sat there and picked every song, whoever got everyone else to cover those other songs, hats off to you. Could be the best part of the film. Here's where we get to the rub of the review, though. There's one big issue with this film that kind of prevents me from giving it top marks, 10 out of 10. As I mentioned before, the shots in this movie, the linear storytelling is obviously Harley Quinn as an unreliable narrator. The story is jumping around with different scenes to give it that liveliness. However, because it's doing that, the cuts between certain characters sometimes take so long that you forget about certain characters and you forget what their motivations are. As I said, I wish Huntress were more in the movie because she's in it for a bit and then she's gone for about 2/3 of the movie. And when she does come back, I couldn't remember whether she knew anybody or what her role is with the current situation that was going on. Same with Black Canary and Detective Renee Montoya, who are the other two Birds of Prey in this film. They also have interesting story arcs. The police detective Renee Montoya, I didn't really like her character too much. But again, she's not really that much in the movie, so it's not a big deal. Black Canary probably has the most to do with the big story involving Harley Quinn and the girl with the diamond, Cassandra Cain. She has a lot to do when she's on screen. She has a few big chunky scenes, and then she's gone again too. To a point where you get to the end of the movie. Now, most of these team-up films, whether it's Guardians of the Galaxy or the Avengers, maybe I can think of a movie that's not a superhero thing. I don't know. The Mighty Ducks. Everybody is antagonistic toward each other. They don't quite get along, but they've had plenty of time to interact with each other and get to know one another. So at the end of the movies, when these people come together as a team to achieve the goal that they want to do, it's believable. You absolutely feel like they've earned that final point. With Birds of Prey, because everybody is split up for so much of the film, I would estimate about 80% of the film, because their stories are so separate from one another, by the time everybody comes together for their rallying Birds of Prey team-up, I don't really believe that these people would trust each other and would come together to be the team that has each other's backs and will take a bullet for each other and race down a street and throw someone on the back of a motorbike, risking their own life in the process, because you just haven't had that character establishment that you need. The main relationship that does work, well, there's two main relationships. One makes sense, one's surprising. They spend so much time with Harley Quinn making friends with the little girl Cassandra, who has the diamond that everybody's after, That's really believable. That makes sense in terms of the character movements that have with those characters. With the other birds, they meet that girl maybe once or twice in the movie. There's not that connection to her that would warrant the end team up, fight, protection, with you till we die sort of thing. The other relationship that works is Black Mask and his henchman, Victor Zsasz. They spend so much time alluding that these two have a relationship, whether it's in a comedic sense, but when those two are in conflict, when they're split up, when there's issues going on with them, you believe that way more than the actual Birds of Prey connection, which is incredibly ironic. Hats off to Ewan McGregor once again for stealing the movie, in my opinion. Overall, I think the movie probably should have just been called Harley Quinn and the Birds of Prey. Maybe. It is Harley Quinn's film. The Birds of Prey are a second thought. And I wish that we had had more time to get to know these characters and their relationship, so it would feel more earned in the end. That said, it is a superhero movie. They do what they can. They have a lot of characters that they're juggling in this movie. And with the action, the music, the cinematography, and the acting of certain characters, overall, it is an enjoyable time. So that's not a huge issue on my part. It's just something that I took away from the film walking out. I thought, why does something feel off? And unfortunately, I believe that's it. However, it was a good time at the movies. I would give Birds of Prey 7 out of 10. Definitely worth watching, especially if you're a superhero fan, if you've enjoyed the DC films, if you enjoy the Marvel films because of the comedy that's involved in this film, if you love Harley Quinn, if you love Margot Robbie, if you've got a soft spot for Ewan McGregor, definitely go check it out. It's certainly the right direction in terms of female superheroes. As much as DC hasn't been as successful as Marvel, they've certainly made more female-led superhero movies than Marvel has. Marvel certainly needs to have a look at what they're doing in that sense. And Birds of Prey is something very good for everyone to be proud of, I think. They did very well making the film, pushing past all the negativity. There was a lot of issues about whether this film would be made with all the craziness going on with the Suicide Squad fallout, the Justice League fallout, all of that. The fact that the movie made it and saw the light of day and entertained me in a very good way, well done. 7 out of 10, Birds of Prey will definitely be on my top 10 films of the year for quite some time. We'll see what happens when more films come out. I'm very excited. I hope you are too. Thank you for listening. As always, it has been a treat to bring you my stupid opinions of great films, my rambleness. I hope I've got my opinions across, and I hope you walk away thinking, yeah, I'll go see Birds of Prey. Why not? Sounds like a good time. Thanks, Spliced In Later. Well, you're welcome, digital world. I will be back next week to discuss the results of the Academy Awards. They will finally be announced. I won't do a huge discussion, but I will certainly touch on the Best Picture. Who's going to win? I'm not sure. By the end of this weekend, I will have seen every film that is up for the nomination. I will be able to give you an educated opinion on whether the film that has won is indeed the film that deserves to win, or if I'm going to be an angry mess. I feel like that's going to be the case, but let's fingers crossed. Come on, 1917. Come on. Until then, I love and appreciate every single one of you. As always, it has been a pleasure talking to you. You've been spliced in later. Adios, muchachos. I'll catch you next time.